This is Yost with the Learning Network, bringing to you our virtual meeting for our Principal Learning Network. And so the Principal Learning Network is about establishing new professional relationships, growing in our professional knowledge, and building each other's leadership capacity so as to increase student achievement. And so 3 big parts for this video is about who is the CCE, why the PLN was created, and what are the outcomes for the PLN. Our hope is that after this overview, you will have a nice big complete picture of what we're trying to accomplish with the Principal Learning Network. So who is the CCEE? It's the California Collaborative for Education Excellence. The legislature created the CCEE to provide advice and assistance to county offices of ed and school districts and charter schools in achieving what? Their LCAP goals. And so the CCEE implements what the SBE decides, State Board of Education. For instance, evaluation rubrics are now called, you got it, California School Dashboards. This just in as of this past Wednesday. And so the CCEE is made up of these 6 very fine individuals. Dr. Carl Cohn, the lead of the team. We've got some great people one from Bakersfield, Dr. Aida Molina. Awesome resource for us, Socorro Shields as well, focusing on the education piece. Josh Daniels, who does a lot of the coordinating and contracting. Ish is kind of a face of CCE out in the field, and Suji is great with numbers. And so these are great people wanting to do great things for kids. Their big task right now is the salty sweet combination. And what is the salty sweet? Well, CCEE is really tasked to make harmonious these 2 big ideas: the local control accountability plan and a continuous systems of improvement process. And so improvement through networking is in, which is why we created the Principal Learning Network, and compliance is out. And for what purpose? So that school districts are able to keep local control local, which means good is happening for our students. And so why networks? Well, we looked at this slide. This is Hattie's work. And this slide really talks about this idea of collaborative efficacy. It has a very high effect size as 1.57. At the time when this was built, it was the highest. Big ideas is as you go from individuals to collaborative teams, and as you increase your learning, and your learning becomes to the sustained change behavior, what we're all pointing towards is this idea of sustained and systematic growth, which again has the highest impact on student learning. Networks here, along with learning there, is going to help us achieve that. That's from Hattie's work. Why networks again? Well, Michael Fullen weighs in on this conversation. This comes from an article that we'll reveal later, but here's some 3 big ideas. It deepens the learning and engagements of students, enhances the professional capital of teachers and leaders to continuously deepen student learning and engagement. And that's why, hey guys, we need to make sure you take the professional capital survey. Oh, and then also it becomes a force of improvement through the whole system. So those are 3 big ideas there. And then the promise of networks that Fullen will go on to say is that first, networks is the largest reservoir of resources, expertise, knowledge that remain dormant, untapped, or underused in classrooms. All that to say, great things are happening in your classrooms. We need to get that message out. And so good ideas that do exist are not tested, further developed as they remain in isolated pockets. So we want to get your good ideas that are in your classrooms out in the forefront so we can learn from each other and be able to use them across your school districts, across the county, and across the state. So our practice protocol was a great example of that work when we started to untap the resources in the room. And so we really want to thank Becky for being out in front of that. So this is why the CCEE established a system of networks. They established that so that way we can figure out how to improve schools at a greater level than what we've done in the past. So that the CCE, again, is balancing this idea of we're in this hugging period where we're really working together, but the regulations are coming out, the guidance documents, what evaluation rubrics, which are now called California School Dashboards, and some accountability measures will be coming, and that's the hammer. So they're balancing two things, hugs and the hammer. But if we're working all together at this point, then when hammer time comes, it'll be a softer hammer because systems are already moving, school districts are forward. So that's why we're all working together. So the CCEE truly wants to learn best practices from the field through networks and share these best practices throughout the state. So here's the CCEE. What's the relationship with the Principal Learning Network? Well, there's one level between us, and that's a professional learning exchange. There's actually 3 of these things called PLXs for short. And so Yoast is in this PLX, but so are you. And so what's that look like? Well, in our PLX that we're in, there's actually other PLNs. So other professional learning networks. Ours says Principal Learning Network, but there's other professional learning networks. For instance, County Office of Education. You actually have a School Board Association network. There's others that are focusing on county superintendents. And so there's all these professional learning networks in our PLX that we get together and meet regularly. When I say regularly, once a month, and also every other week virtually. Sound familiar, doesn't it? So anyway, we are in a professional learning exchange composed of several different PLNs. And so we have this whole body of knowledge that we're learning from each other. And so there's going to be this website that's going to be created, or it is created, we're going to learn about. It's called Collaboration in Common. We're going to use that website where we'll exchange our information not only within our PLN, but also through the PLX. And so a website is coming, our information will go in there, and that will be a topic for our next virtual network, is how to use Collaboration in Common as our exchange place. And so moving on, here's how this big picture of our Principal Learning Network, we work together, and we're going to influence the PLX, which is made up of about 15 other PLNs. The 3 PLXs are able to influence the CCE on the best practices that are taking place out in our school districts. And then from there, CCE is going to invite the State Board of Education of innovations and improvements that are happening. And so basically, you are 2 steps away from the CCEE and 3 from the State Board of Education. And our PLN is very well positioned to impact the entire state with the work that we're doing. So our work is very significant, not only for your school site, but for all kids. And because our goal truly is all 4 of these circles here, or ovals, are really designed in groups want to make our schools a great place for kids. So it really comes down to equity in this and what our work is. And you may have seen these slides before. You got equality on the left. If you focus right down here with the boxes, and over here on the right, this might be a reality where there's a disproportionate use of the boxes for maybe some groups that need greater number of boxes, aren't simply getting it. But really, we're looking at equity. And if you do a research on these slides, there's some other pictures on these as well that are interesting too. But again, we're really looking about bringing equity to our schools. And so the Principal Learning Network was established a while back. There's a fantastic maybe 12-page document here. I'm not going to open it up. That's foundational for our work. So during our PLN, you are going to experience a continuous system of improvement process. Basically, this is going to become our live syllabus, so to speak. But of course, we need your input along the way to make this great and to help move your organization forward as well. So what comes next are the big ideas of the CSI. Remember, we need to think and work collaboratively. And perhaps I should have imparted the networked use of an 8th grader to help with these slides. So remember, we're doing this, folks, because we know sustained systematic behavior, takes place when individuals learn a bunch and we're all working together for the good of kids. So how does the CSI all begin? Well, it starts off with data evaluation. These evaluation rubrics, rubrics are out. Sorry, California School Dashboards, that's the new term. This is the lag data that we're all expecting to come out soon. So that is the new terminology, California School Dashboards. So it's all about data. And a way to look at data, saw this graphic, you have data, filter, visualization, story is how we can use our data. So going from data, we're going to go into a problem of practice approach and do a root cause analysis. We've actually done that twice in our group, and this is, I'm kind of a big deal, that root cause analysis. And again, thank you, Becky, for doing such a great job with bringing a POP to the group last time. Very rich experience. Well, they're going to move into development of a strategic focus. And it's important because when you have focus, you can keep calm in the midst of sometimes chaos at a school site. So we know where we are headed, and we'll help you develop your strategic focus. We always need to remember stakeholder engagement. So beyond the focus, we really need to make sure we're managing the expectations of our stakeholders and building trust along the way. We're going to help you through that process as well. We're going to help build leadership capacity, which basically means from principal to teacher, but also district office level, and we'll try to influence district office for you. But basically, you want to be thinking about how the principal acts with teacher leaders and how those teacher leaders impact teachers. With basically, we're looking at getting to students. So that's what we mean by building leadership capacity through the system. Of course, there's the LCAP development process. Your district office has that in hand, I'm sure, seeking your input. But from there, your single school plan should be created in concert with the LCAP. And your single school plan, really our goal in this whole process is to help you to get down to a one-page document that can take you from success indicators to staff practices to school supports, evidence of learning, and timeline, all on one page. And that can be a page that you can champion and showcase in front of different audiences and help your school site move forward. So in review, we're going to start with data evaluation. We then move to development of strategic focus. We have stakeholder engagement to manage. We're building leadership capacity. We have LCAP development and your single school plan, all revealing this big idea right here, the instructional core, and focusing on the task, because we know the task predicts performance. And so the big takeaway in the CSI process is this: our continuous system of improvement process that we just went through is going to make this document great and focused. So that's why we're going through this, to take a lot of time to help you develop that in a strategic way. So how does PD, professional development, influence your school site? Well, you have PD. Instead of sit and get, I think we need to think about PD in concert with the CSI process and how it impacts instruction, learning about that, going back to the systems of improvement process, and then looking back at PD. All of these things working in cycles with each other, so that way you can have strong improvement. And then also, this is all cultivated where we started way back when we looked at Folan's key drivers. These drivers are very solid drivers. What I shared with you with the continuous system improvement process is basically the action steps to attain these drivers. So where are we at right now? Well, this is just an overview of our Principal Learning Network. We have the Principal. You're reading through that. Remember, you're going to be reading Chapter 3 in the Principal for the next time you come along. We need you to complete that professional capital survey. Look for the link in the email. What do you want out of our network? I'll have a survey for that, so that way we're receiving your feedback. So a bit of a two-way dialogue. We'll have a Google Doc link in the email as well if you want to be able to share some things with the group, and of course need for you to see the email for detail. So we're very excited about the work that's in front of us. So we will see you next time on January 30th at 1 p.m. This is Yost, and on behalf of the team at the Learning Network, we're excited about the journey that we're on, and we'll see you on the 30th.